Hi, welcome to TWR Facebook Live. I am doing this Facebook Live from Dharamsala, India, from Norbo House. And earlier I did try with the connection, internet connection, and the sound. It seems went well, and I hope this continuously go well. So let me know how the image is coming and how the sound is coming. And so far it looks good. So I am, very happy to be here this evening with all of you. So tonight I wanted to speak a little bit more on the base. When I was thinking about doing the pit instruction, personal reflection on the Dzogchen teachings, I thought about discussing a little bit on what in Tibetan we call Je, Lam, and Devu, which means the base, the path, and fruition. So Shilam Desum. So particularly this notion of base in the Dzogchen tradition. So I thought I would speak a little bit, and then I thought about speaking from the text called Shangju Nyeju. Many of you know that in the Burn tradition, Shangju Nyeju Dzogchen tradition is one of the most important scripture on Dzogchen, and so among that, this volume, there is a chapter, root text and commentary called Zirbu Nishitsachik, 21 Nails, and so I wanted to speak a little bit from that. So first, I wanted to just kind of read a little bit line by line so that those people who understand Tibetan, and then lately some few more Tibetans have been coming and listening, so it may be helpful for them. So it says, Tongsal namkha je jungwa nangsi tsal jesu dengwa tuluk chundu tawa kolsa rangsar hlepa tap chundu trowa lam niso mepa tokpa ngondu churwa jivu. So these are the lines. So basically, there are 6 different parts in this base, and each of these basically talking about what is the base. So first one is talking about Tongsal Namkashje, is talking about the sky or the space being the base of everything. So basically, space is the base of everything. So as we say, every matter is 99.99% space, so everything, most of it's space. So so that means every matter, basis of every matter is space. So in the Tibetan tradition, we say all the outer elements and the inner beings, Chinnu and Nangchu, are based on the sky. So basically all the elements, outer element, all the beings are based on the sky. So we just basically, every nature is arising and taking place and dissolving in the sky, in the space. So somehow nature always evolves. So nature is never a problem to each other. So sometimes we become problem to the nature, and sometimes therefore the nature becomes problem to us. So recently, so we are having a lot of nature disasters are very much, I think in some sense, of sign of our bad relationship, our lack of awareness, our respect toward the nature, and how much destructions, pollutions that we bring in the nature, toward the nature. I think this is a response or reaction from the nature, and or maybe from the spirit of the nature. So basically, the point here I'm trying to say is the space is the basis of all the elements externally. So that's number one. And the second one is talking about basically body, or basically activity. So it says charme ishi ji chawa na tsotsal jeso tengwa tuluk jundu tawa kosa rangsar lepa tap longdu tuwa lam niso meba toba ngondu churwa devu. So charme ishi ji. So every activity. So basically think about ourselves, think about our body, think about our speech, think about our mind. So everything what we do, so all our activity, our body and our activity of the body, it's based on that stillness. So chawameba, actionless, stillness. That is being the base. So I will explain. I mean, I know like it sounds a little bit like a very okay. So what does that mean to us in terms of the personal level? What it means to us in terms of developmentally speaking, practice-wise, what it means to us, spiritually, what it means to us. I will explain a little bit later, but just kind of let me go through this first. So stillness or actionless wisdom is the base. So all the activity that we do, it arises in that base. And when we follow this activity, it's a delusion. When we look them as a mistaken or something wrong with that, that is a mistaken. When you leave them as they are, where they are, it's a method. And then when it self-liberates in that base of stillness, then it's called path. The path, that means we learn through our meditation, through our understanding and meditation, we learn to leave it as it is so that it will have its own time to dissolve and liberate. We will not interfere it to last longer than is necessary, or we will not try to interfere it to trying to stop earlier than it's needed. So when we leave it in its own moment, it will liberate. So when it does liberate, when appearances liberate in the base, when the appearances and the base becomes a union or inseparable, when we recognize that, so that is the knowledge. That is the knowledge. When that knowledge fully ripens in us, it says ngondu churwa, means when that realization fully ripens in us, is the fruition or is the result. So then the next part is so this is the part of the body and the activity. So in my teaching, I always talk about the stillness. I mean, you all know I refer that a lot. So with that, basically that whole idea of stillness is coming from this jume ishiji, no activities. The stillness is the base. That's where it's coming from, the source. Second part, it has something to do with our speech. So what is the basis of our speech? So it says jume ishiji joba natsotsal jeso tenwa tuluk jondu tawa kosa rangsar lebe tap longdo towa lam niso mepa tokpa ngondu churwa dewo. So sorry to read this in Tibetan, and again, those who are trying to study understand Tibetan might be helpful, but otherwise it's a little bit hopefully it sounds good, sounds nice in the air. So what is the second part? Second part, it has something to do with the speech. So I always talk about in the teaching, I say something like the awareness of silence is a wisdom, or wisdom of silence. I don't know. Do you all remember that? So how many, those who have been following me, my teachings in the books and all the Facebook live teaching, all three precious pills, when I talk about wisdom of silence. Do you remember wisdom of silence? So I talk about being aware of silence. Not just being quiet. For example, silence. You can think about silence very often when you hear a word silence in a session of the meeting or therapy session, massage, or the monastery. When it says silence, basically it says keep quiet, don't make a noise, right? That's what it means. So just being quiet, not making a noise is not good enough. So of course it's good, but not good enough. So wisdom of silence is when you are aware of the inner silence. So that inner silence, the awareness of inner silence, is the base of the speech. Like the stillness is the base of the body and activity, the silence or the awareness of the silence is the base of the speech or speech. So speech or the sounds is the basis of that sound. So whenever sound arises, like the primordial sound, like a mantras, like sounds of like ah, om, like mantras, or when you hear a word saying love or peace, compassion, these are more expresses spiritual qualities. Or when you say anger, attachment, ignorance, these are the expressions of the non-virtues, a state of consciousness. So basically these all are sound which expresses some meanings or expresses some vibrations as a primordial sound healings. So but point what I'm trying to say, whatever the sound arising, all the basis of those sound goes back to the silence. So the silence is the base. All the speeches are manifestation. So but following them or manipulating them is the error. Seeing them something wrong is a mistaken. Leaving them as they are is the method. When they dissolve, when the noise cease, or when the noise dissolved into the base inner silence, when you awaken, or when you realize and aware of that inseparable state of that dissolution of the sound, and that which is the awareness of the silence and that space, it's kind of fruition. So this is what it's talking about. So I hope I'm talking clear. I'm saying something useful. So that is, at least let's try to go down through it and trying to finish it. So that is the speech. So we talked about sky and the natural sky, space, and the elements. We talk about internally body, speech, and mind. We talk about the body and the stillness. We talk about the speech and the silence. So the third part is, the fourth part has something to do with our mind. So the root in the text it says, Rangjung ishe je nyomong tunga tsal jeso dengba tuluk chondo tawa kosa rangsal leba tap rondo towa lam niso meba tokpa ngondo churwa devo. So self-arising wisdom is the base. 5 negative emotions, poisons, are dynamic energy. So basically it means, for our anger, for example, most of the time we think about anger not good. Or in Sutric tradition, one would say you need to renounce anger. Anger is bad. Or you think about, in a tantric, you need to transform, change it. It's not good. But in a Dzogchen, it's not saying you need to renounce or transform it. It's saying leave it as it is. Nothing wrong about the anger, unless you look at anger as wrong and trying to manipulate with another conceptual mind which you think is a better, which is not. but being fully aware and living it as it is in its own place is the method. That's what it's saying. So not looking at something wrong, leaving it as it is the method. So when it dissolves, when you leave the anger, when you leave the depression, when you leave the sadness, when you leave whatever negative emotion this very moment those you are experiencing in your life, if you leave them as they are, where they are, by just simply being aware but not manipulating, not suppressing, is the method. And what happens if you do that, it will dissolve by itself. When it does dissolve by itself, the cessation of it in the base where it dissolves is not a separate. So non-separable state of that, realization of non-separable state of that is called knowledge, awakening. Niso mepa tokpa, inseparable state. It's a realization, knowledge. That's what it's referring to. And then the okay. So I think it's fine. So maybe what I'm trying to say here, if you look at this, talking about space in which all the elements dissolve, if you leave them as they are, not manipulating, I think, which says very clearly, in some sense, as a human, as we, environmentally speaking, I think we need to understand, trying to leave the nature as much as they are in their own patterns, in places where they are growing, the speed they're growing, the size they're growing, the timing they're growing, and seeing something positive about those natural organic growth of those foods and fruits and flowers and everything. So genetic food. So we're trying to manipulating all the time food. This is saying completely, I think, according to this teaching, is basically saying that's not good. That's not right. So same way, externally and same way internally, three areas: our own body and activities, our own speech and languages, and our own mind and our thinking, our thoughts. So the same principle applies. So one of the common thing I think in these teachings, talking here as a base, is saying, maybe let's say trying to summarize this what I'm trying to speak this evening in a very few things. It's that. So if you look at in our life, each one of you, if you look at in your life. So now I'm not actually guiding meditation, but it's kind of guiding meditation. So I want all of you go deeper in reflecting in yourself, in your life, particularly in your body, particularly your activity, things you doing, trying to become, trying to make things happen, particularly when it's getting involved with ego, pain, fear, and particularly when it's involved ignorance, fear, ego, struggle, and those things that you're trying to do, it's not really happening that well. Maybe if you think it's happening well, that okay, but that's something, it's something that you're experiencing that in the long run, it's not happening good. So somehow, but most of the time, we already witness that the product, the doing, trying to do, trying to make, trying to become, all those pain actions, is it does not give us a joy, satisfaction. So if your pain actions, for example, one good example will be, I know some cases that some people doing their work, They're so unhappy about what they do in their job. And sometimes I know people for a long time, and in the end it did not end up well for a number of people that I witnessed myself. I also know people who have doing as a work, they're doing things. At some point, not too late, they realize either they have to change or they have to change the job. And sometimes people manage to change themselves and be free from what they're doing, but sometimes they're not able to change themselves, then they have to change job, but not too late, they are able to change their job, and they also feel happier, much more happier in their life, because the fear of losing something, fear of not surviving or not making living enough or something, they're trying to be able to break through that, and trying to, trusting to learn new skills. And so bottom line is continuation of pain activity, this is what I'm talking, will not end up right. And if you're suffering with your activity, with what you do, or particularly what you do as a profession, if you're suffering for a long time and you have no other ways to relating to it, no other way of looking at it, then it's a time to reflect, seriously reflect, and say, trying to change something. And change could mean, according to this teaching, in a Dzogchen teaching, collective sense, there is the word called ngal so in Tibetan, ngal so, which basically means rest, resting from. So you need to take a break from that activity, that what you do. A professional pain activity, a professional pain body's activity. So that doing needed to stop. Maybe you will not stop fully, but you needed to take a break. Maybe you needed to stop. Maybe you need to take a break. You needed to rest. You needed to recover. You needed to reconnect. These are some sense of activity that you need to do in order to, understand the value of the teaching, about the first part of the teaching. So activity is talking about. So some sense of, I think what I'm saying is the value of self-reflecting, and value of taking a break from pain, body, pain, particularly pain activities from that pain body. And particularly if it has been so long time, particularly if it has not changing, particularly if you keep continuously suffering, because you are manipulating your body, you are manipulating your sense of who you are. You are manipulating that inner peace and restfulness, inner stillness. That's what you're doing. So bottom line, what you're saying, rest, take a break. If it's not working, take a break. Simple as that. So, but if you have witnessed it's not working for that so many years, and if you continue doing that, nothing's going to change, but it will destroy you before it's too late. Consider that, right? So that, I think, one thing is important. Second part is we jump to the speech part. So we said, Jume Ishi Je basically means silence is the base. Jume Ishi Je, silence is the base. So, and all the speeches, Jopa Natso Tsal, all the speeches are dynamic energy. So basically, once again, all your speech, for example, you think about your speech, what you talk, how you talk, how you, what somebody says. So your activity speech, your pain speech. So pain speech need to rest. So let's say you are trying to clear something with somebody. You're discussing about something. You're trying to clarify something with somebody. You're trying to be clear with somebody, and you're trying to talk. You're trying to talk more. You have been talking for a long time with your partner, husband, wife, brother, sister, colleague, boss. But you have been talking so long time. But it's not arriving any conclusion, not having any clarity, not arriving place of peace, or not coming to the place of connection or place of love, collaboration, and creativity. It's not coming anywhere. What is happening is just draining, keep draining you, keep draining somebody, keep draining a collective groups of people because of your speech, a collective speech, somebody else's speech, because they all are not arising from clear place. They are coming from a pain speech. So basically what he's saying here is take a rest, take a break. It's not saying, but don't take me wrong here, it's not saying just keep quiet and never talk again. No. It's saying the way you have been doing manipulation, disconnection from the silence, lack of awareness of the silence, because the base of the speech is the silence. If something is not coming from silence, if something coming from pain speech and the noises, it's not going to bring you in a good place. And if it's not bringing you in a good place for all these years, and if you haven't changed the way you do it, it's not going to bring you in a good place in the near future too. So you're tired, you're exhausted, you're confused, you're lost, you don't know what you're talking. So in those cases, it's saying, take a break. Don't talk as much. Silence. You might say, well, if talking did not help, how does the silence going to help? Well, you might be very surprised. But silence has to be deep. Silence has to be in the beginning, you at least not speaking with those words, those topic in those particular way from that pain speech, and gradually discovering more inner silence, what we call inner silence, where you feel more internally, where you feel more sense of peace. And the day will come when you really know, maybe you don't have to say anything, everything is just clear. It is. There was never a need to clarify somebody. There was never a need to talk, because everything was clear as it is in that silence, from that silence. Or you might not feel deep enough, but you still feel that you needed to talk, and then you also will be very clear, you will know what to talk. And these speeches will come more from that place of silence. Less of all this collective family pain stories, a professional, collective pain, dynamic relationship of pain. Not from that. It's coming from more from clear space. Maybe if you look, some of the relationships are beautiful relationships that has been damaged, been destroyed, lost, wounded, might have caused with some of the speeches, pain speeches. One single moment of those pain speeches destroys something, deep relationship that you have with somebody. Imagine that particular moment if you did not say what was coming out, because you were aware of that moment to be more silence and connecting with silence, and not allow that speech come out from that place of pain. Your good relationship with those people might be still there. Your opportunity to connect, do work, collaborate people might still be there. And you know very clearly, we all know very clearly, that some of those moments, you know clearly some of those particular moments, pain speech has destroyed something beautiful what you have. Because it's the effort, it's the pain, it's the struggle, it's a trying, it's a totally lack of restfulness. That's why it's happening. And the third part, it has something to do with the mind. Remember, we talked about mind. Dogme ishije, so tokpa meba, so thoughtless. Wisdom is the base. It says thoughtless wisdom is the base. And that's kind of literally what it means. Thoughtless wisdom is the base. And most of the commonly, when I talk about it, I trying to say spaciousness. So my expression of spaciousness, or the sacred space, is what I'm referring to, this thoughtless wisdom. So, thoughtless wisdom, that spaciousness of our mind. So, all the thoughts, memories, emotions, recollections, sensory experiences. So, whatever the mental experiences that you are having in that spaciousness, in that thoughtless wisdom, those appearances are, here it's referring them as a dynamic energy. Dynamic energy means no matter what is arising there, they're all good, whatever is arising. So you don't look them as an error or mistaken, or you don't try to manipulate or suppress and change, manipulate. Rather, you observe and aware of those appearances of your thought, and that is saying is the method. And if you do that, it will dissolve what needed to dissolve, go down. It will come up what it needed to come up. So it's like a spring water. If you shake it with a stick, stirring up, and then water becomes very muddy. And if you keep on shaking it, moving it, water keep on staying muddy, and maybe that's what life is. You don't have a moment of stillness, you don't have a moment of silence, you don't have a moment of spaciousness of your mind. You don't have a connection to your body, your speech, your mind, to the nature, to your surrounding. You have lost the connection, and you keep stirring with your body, with your pain body, your speech with the pain speech, with your mind with the pain mind, and life is very muddy. So same way, the muddy water, if you leave it for a moment, for a couple of hours, what happens? All the heavy things like rocks, stones will go down, and all the light things like leaves, papers or something like that will come up. So the light ones come up, heavy ones will go down, but the water itself becomes crystal clear. That is like our mind. So when you leave it as it is, when you rest, when you take a break from pain, body, speech, and mind, when you rest deep enough, then it naturally becomes clear by itself, like the water, if you don't shake it. So some sense, what I'm trying to say here is the value of not doing anything, and sometimes many things can happen. Not saying anything, sometimes many communication can happen. And not imagining, thinking all the time, sometimes many spontaneous discovery of creativity or creativity will arise. When body gets rest, when the speech gets rest, when the mind gets rest, the magic happens. So trusting the stillness, silence, spaciousness, because they are so-called basis, foundation, ye. So this is what I think for today. So I think maybe for 10 minutes we can all kind of meditate a little bit in this base. So I want everybody to sit comfortably. Take a 3 or 5 deep breathing, and as you exhale from your nostril, breathe out all the discomforts that you have been feeling these weeks, days, hours, and in this moment. As we are trying to breathe out, rest, I think the internet also trying to rest, the phone trying to rest too. Continue breathing deep and feel the space around and within, where all the appearances in the universe is arising, staying, dissolving. In which you all are there, I am there, we're all in that space. Be aware of the stillness in your body. Charme ishe je, the actionless body, wisdom, being aware of the stillness.
Jume Ishe, be aware of the silence, connect with the awareness of the silence. Silence connects all of us more than our speeches. Or silence, speech from that silence help us connect with each other. The noises, language of noises, restless, disconnected speeches does not help us to connect. So be aware of that silence, feel the connection. Be aware of the thoughtless wisdom or the spaciousness of your mind. Your mind is like a crystal clear sky. Be aware of that. That awareness is the base. More you're connected to that base, that awareness, less your thoughts will bother you. Continue. In this stillness, in this silence, in this spaciousness, through our body, through our speech, through our mind, feel we are all connected to each other. And feel that you are all supported. We are all supported by each other. Feel this connection of sacred cyber sangha. No matter how far we are from each other, no matter what time zone you are in, this moment we are all connected, and this connection is support for all of us, particularly those who need the support this moment. You are fully supported. Thank you. Now you can open your eye. How is the meditation? Well, wonderful. I hope this short meditation was helpful. I hope this reflections from 21 Nail was a little bit helpful. Hopefully it's not became too complicated discussion. But many of you who have been following me with about 3 door and 3 precious pills practices, all of you already know. So all of you have been doing. You have already know about it. You have been practicing, and so this is the only little bit more from the text. I'm trying to kind of closely trying to relate it with the text. So it's most of you are already aware and practicing. So I just trying to continuously support that from India, Dharamsala. So I hope to do one more before I return back to Virginia. So in next couple of days, I hope to do one more Facebook Live. So I will announce that on my Facebook page. So please just every now and then check the information there. So if there anything will, but definitely we will do one, and just the time and the day you will check there. And once you know something, please let other friends and friends know, so that we can always kind of support each other that way. Thank you very much. All my love, blessings to all of you.